Hello everyone, my name is Ian Roxas and the following presentation is for Dr. Quintana's Kinesiology 152A class. It will be information about footwear related injuries and physical training within military personnel. So here's an outline of the presentation. We're going to start with the purpose of the presentation, followed by the U.S. Army standards and guidelines to what footwear is authorized for soldiers. We're then going to hit some important topics such as how footwear can possibly influence injury, comparing training in boots versus exercise shoes and other boots, and finally, some preventative footwear strategies to avoid injury. So we'll go ahead and start with the purpose of the presentation. The purpose of this presentation is to provide information on the high rates of injuries amongst military personnel that may be related to footwear, in order to incentivize further research in improving issued and available footwear for those personnel. The U.S. Army has provided a doctrinal manual on what is authorized for soldiers. It is available for reference in Department of the Army pamphlet 670-1. The description on standard issued boots is: the two types of Army combat boots, hot weather and temperate weather, are made of flesh side out cattle hide leather with a plain toe and tan or coyote outsole. So the significance to know about this statement is that it focuses on the concept of protection and uniformity rather than performance of military personnel. Military boots are designed for protecting the foot rather than supplementing soldiers' physical performance. Now, the Army does authorize commercially available boots that may have superior supplemental performance qualities. The doctrine states, soldiers may wear commercial boots of a design similar to that of the Army combat boot as authorized by the commander. The boots must be between 8 to 10 inches in height and made of tan or coyote flesh side out cattle hide leather with a plain toe and a soling system matching the color of the tan or coyote upper materials. Again, not much guidance or direction is given on the effects of performance within soldiers. So we're going to move on to the topic of injury influence. So during my research, a prevailing concept of injuries related to improper footwear was present in many of the studies. The first bullet point here mentions the topic of mass of the boot. Obviously, boots will increase the mass of the foot, and depending on the type of boot, some might show an increased effect. One study states boots can cause an increasing rotational inertia on the knee due to the increase in mass, thus inducing fatigue quicker, which can then lead to injuries. Military boots also decrease ankle mobility, which can lead to motion compensations by the wearer. One significant variable that is potentially affected is gait. Experiments have shown that wearing military boots has an increase in load on the ankle, knee, and hips during gait cycle. Again, this could lead to potential compensation responses from the wearer and thus further injury. GRF, or ground reaction force, is also a very debatable topic within this. Military boots are shown to have inadequate shock absorbing capabilities. This additional force on the body can potentially lead to injuries such as stress fractures. This slide shows a graph of VO2 consumption in relation to boot flexibility. As seen, VO2 decreases with higher boot stiffness. However, the study from which the graph was taken also mentions that added flexibility comes with a decrease in support and protection of the boot. The same study mentions oxygen uptake increases by approximately 1% for every 100 grams of additional mass of the foot. In other words, as boot mass gets larger, there's a decrease in VO2. So flexibility and mass of the boot are shown to have a negative relationship. The more mass of the boot, the less flexible it will be. But the more mass of the boot, the more protection it has. Here we're going to compare footwear between different boots, as well as boots versus normal athletic footwear. The table on this slide displays information on loading rates and impact peaks on three types of footwear. A military boot versus the PT-03, which is a cross-training based shoe, and the PT-1000, which is a running shoe. The significance to note from this table is the loading rate between the boots and the exercise shoes. This data supports the inadequacy of shock attenuation in military boots when compared to exercise shoes. The superior cushioning midsole in the PT-03 cross trainer and the PT-1000 running shoe may also provide a reason for lower impact readings compared to boots. In regards to other boots, a study on boots with improved midsole was conducted and showed significant result of lower impact readings on Gait. Further information on that will be later in the presentation. So a lot of research has gone into the topic of injury mitigation in military footwear. So military training does involve other factors than footwear in itself. Also, many of these studies within the presentation stated that footwear is not the strict cause of injury within this population. However, they have found that preventative measures can be made to avoid injury. First one may be obvious, but it's avoiding training in boots whenever possible. Footwear in general is a very big factor when it comes to physical performance. A study was conducted on the effects of soldiers' physical capabilities on the type of exercise shoe they wore. Two groups of soldiers were tested. One group wore a traditional running shoe and the other wore a minimalist type running shoe. They both conducted the Army PT test, which consists of 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and a 2-mile run in the shortest amount of time possible. There were significant results when running in minimalist running shoes compared to traditional running shoes during the 2-mile run. Also, compared to boots, shoes meant for exercise, including the PT-03 and the PT-1000, have shown a decrease in factors leading to injury. One study suggests that military institutions should start prescribing properly fitting shoes, especially in regards to arch type, to avoid injury. Different arch types produce different force distributions along the foot, so footwear could be possibly modified to mitigate that effect. Also, carrying heavy loads may be a main determinant of injury within military personnel, so improvement in footwear to compensate for such heavy loads could be made to avoid further injury. And overall, footwear modifications should be made in order to help mitigate injury. So, boot comfortability is a huge concern with this population. A study compared soles made of different material in order to test comfortability. They found that boots could be made more comfortable by using polyurethane in the sole. And in regards to shock absorption, foots with an improved cushioning system should be made. Thick midsoles made of styrene butadiene have been found to lower impact during gait. In conclusion, scientists should find the right balance of protection, flexibility, comfortability, and cushioning for standard issue military boots, as well as commercially available boots. Further research of finding the appropriate combination of all these variables should be conducted. There are many studies and experiments conducted on the effects of boots on the body, but not much is seen on the efforts of improving boots. Studies of improved prototype boots should be the main effort within the study. I'll finally end with a personal note. I have been part of the military population for 4 years now. Military boots have been a significant struggle in my career. I suffered through the dreadful and blocky standard issue boots for 2 years before switching around to a commercial boot with a better midsole. The career field can involve marching and long distance runs in boots, so the perfect balanced boot would be an ideal product for the future. While there may never be a perfectly balanced boot, I firmly believe that the research should be focused on that concept. This concludes my presentation. Please leave questions in the comment section below. Also, please let me know of any confusing information within the presentation so that I can hopefully clear that up for you guys. Many quotes within the presentation are numbered and correspond to a number on the reference page. So thanks for your time, and congrats to those who are graduating Sac State this semester.